will now ask Mr. Alaa Zaher, Head of the Strategy and Innovation in Vodafone, to give his presentation.
طبعا اسلام ما سبتليش حاجه اقولها. قمت بالواجب فهحاول اني اعمل اي اضافات ممكنه. بس بدايه انا عايز اشكر حسين بيه والدكتور عبله على الفرصه دي. انا مش ايكونومست فاول مره اتشرف اني اجي ECS، فشكرا جدا على الفرصه دي. وان شاء الله النهارده اقدر اني اشير معاكم بعض المعلومات عن البيج داتا والداتا اناليتكس. واسلام اتكلم شويه عن الحته دي والفرق ما بينهم. انا هتكلم على الفروقات ما بين البيج داتا والداتا اناليتكس، وبعد كده هنتقل اني اتكلم على تجربتنا في فودافون. بنستخدم الداتا عموما وبنعمل داتا اناليسيس علشان نحقق ايه الفاليو اللي اسلام اتكلم عليها.
Yeah, to achieve the value that Islam talked about. This value, I will talk about it in two aspects. An aspect about the value that we derive for Vodafone internally for our business, and the other value is that we have started working on more recently is that we also provide value for our customers from the enterprises. The enterprises or the companies that we serve, like the CIP, which is one of the companies that we serve. I can, through the data, I have to give them some data about their own market. So this is a summary of what I will present. I will start by telling you that this morning I woke up at 6 o'clock. I had set the alarm the previous night for 6 o'clock, but my alarm clock wasn't actually an alarm clock, but it is here in my cell phone. So before I slept, I took a look at Facebook. I also looked at my news feed. I saw what my friends and the other people post. I liked a few things. I said happy birthday to some people, and otherwise. And when I woke up today, I looked at some emails, responded to some, all through this device, my phone. Then I got in my car, and like Islam said, I looked at Google Maps because I didn't know what route would be clearer. So I used Google Maps through this device, and the story goes on. If we think of the number of things that we can do through this device, you will realize that they are endless. And what does this mean? It means that we are all leaving traces. We are all leaving traces with every transaction that we conduct through this device. This trace is not left in one company or in one entity, but it is divided. And who will know at what time I wake up? Apple, because this is an iPhone. They have the operating system, and they know at what time I wake up based on at what time I set my alarm. And Google knows where I go. And Facebook know lots of things about me. They know who my friends are, who my relatives are, and what things I am interested in. So all those traces are bits and pieces of data. And if you imagine that this data and its diversity and how diverse they are, you will realize that they are not of one type. A part is about a datum about at what time I wake up, and a datum about what I watch. This might be a video, and what is the content of that video, and what did Alaa say, or what text did Alaa send on WhatsApp, and it is an unstructured text. It's not in a table. So what I'd like to clarify from this is the definition of big data. It's a definition. Big data is not an end, however, it is a reality that was imposed on us. We didn't wake up and all of a sudden we said that we'd like to create big data, but it is a result of the presence of data that have the three characteristics: volume and variety and velocity. So this is a reality that is imposed on us. If you imagine that the trace that I leave just as an individual, as a single person with Apple or Facebook. Facebook have more than 2 billion users worldwide. If each person of those 2 billion users left some data, imagine the amount of data that they have. Facebook need to store these massive amounts of big data. So volume is something that has been imposed by the fact that we are living in a digital world. The variety of it comes from the fact that there might be an audio file. Previously, our understanding of data is a table, but this developed, and there are now forms of data that are versatile. This is the concept of variety, and the velocity concept is divided into two things. First, because of the magnitude of this data, the handling of it through the computer and the processing and the speed that can produce information from the data imposes or necessitates that the computing power must be done with a velocity that was not available in the past. Also, on the other hand, this data needs to be updated. In our traditional systems and data analytics, we often depend on batches. We sometimes extract data from a certain system, and this batch can keep uploading into a new system over days or hours. But if Facebook wants to tell me, and we might have gone through that, all of us, that I have met Hussein, and 5 minutes later you will find him as a suggested friend on Facebook. So if the recency of the information is also a need that was not available in the past. It was created because of the digitization and the internet and the social media. What I'd like to say is that big data is a condition that has imposed on all of those who deal with data. And it is a condition or a reality that is existing in the over-the-top companies or digital companies like Facebook, Google, or Apple, or otherwise. So this is an important point to understand, and this also necessitates or imposes a new type of technology. So when we talk about big data, we are often understood as having lots of data, but to be more precise, technically, big data is the solution to the problem I am talking about, the engineering solution. So there is an engineering solution that allows systems to deal with the data that have that has these characteristics. This engineering solution, if we look at this shape, you will find out that it is a distributed system. We are accustomed to the database being on a certain single device or one server that might be very powerful, but it is a single device at the end of the day. What does big data do? It clusters. The database might be divided into 5 sub databases and not in the same data center, but in scattered data centers in different countries. The servers might be spread in all over the world. Google is the same.
But if I have a query, despite the fact that these data are not clustered together in one place, I can find an immediate answer. Nonetheless, it's a technical problem that we solved with the technologies that we have, with Adobe technology. We have different also technologies or different applications for the same solutions. Technically, this is the definition of big data, but people always speak about the big data, and any system or any organization that deals with a lot of information calls it big. We should not stop at the names or nomenclatures, but technically speaking, big data is about the how, not the what. The how, the value that Islam spoke about. If I go further and talk about Vodafone Experience, Vodafone, just like most of telecommunication companies. It was born digitally, unlike the banking institutions, which was more paper based. We were born digitally. So this digitalization is not something new to us. Vodafone started in 1998 here in Egypt. And one of the capabilities that we had to set up was a data warehouse for our data. This warehouse basically aggregates the data from the different systems, such as the customer relationship management, the ERP, the billing, the network. So all of these data are scattered. Some of them have to do with the customers, some of them have to do with the company, our inventories, the profitabilities. But all of these figures were deposited in the warehouse. And this also is a huge amount of information. Through this warehouse, the data analysts will start the job. Those who look at the data in order to come up with valuable information, they come up with reports that are being used as a business intelligence tool. Maybe you heard about a business object or Tableau. There is a person, there's a job who's of a data analyst, and his job is to come up with value from this information. We have these daily reports that are being shared across the different functions of the company. Every team has daily reports. These reports are not momentary. Maybe the information may appear in report 1 day after or 1 month after, but the velocity is not very important for us as it is for Google, for example. It depends on the use of the bit of the information. The uses that we are talking about here in Vodafone include what we call transactional uses. The most important part of it is the timing. When you call our call center or you go to a retail store and you tell, we have to know who you are on the moment of your arrival, and if you have ever been in any transaction from 5 minutes ago, this needs to be known to the person or to the staff member dealing with you. As for the another aspect is the performance measurement, the dashboards that allow the management to take decisions in order to know the status and the performance of the company. And this is the second use for us as a strategy team who's responsible to communicate the insight, not the data, rather the information that includes the analysis in order to know where the company is headed. A third use is the product design. It's a bit different. When you start talking about the database of your customers, as Islam said, customers are not homogeneous in nature. There is nothing called one size fits all. If you have a T-shirt made and you say that it fits everybody, regardless of the fitting itself, then most people will not buy it. You have to categorize the customers based on their needs. The better you do this job, the better you will be able to approach them with the solutions. you attach a number of megabytes with a number of voice minutes, and then you have to know what suits the business sector and what suits the business, the household sectors differently. Their needs vary. In terms of the megabytes or the minutes, the time of the use. So in order to be able to reach this concept or this understanding, you have to do a lot of data analysis. And since it's winter time, and one of the very funny insights, with the low temperatures, the number of phone calls drop, the voice calls drop, but the internet usage goes higher. Does it make sense? Yes, people usually sit at home and you're using the internet most of the time. So this is one of the insights that's very logical, but we have been able to reach it through our analysis. And also the level that's higher than that is the one-on-one marketing. I do not only categorize my customers to different segments based on the needs, on the shared needs, rather there is also personalization and individualization for each customer. And the platform that we have been able to achieve success with was with the one with the genie. The journey that provided our prepaid customers with with 5 offers daily. These offers vary every single day, and these offers are being, for example, are being pitched to Alaa because his behavior is consistent with this kind of offer. But with Islam, who has a completely different behavior, is going to have different offers. The conversion rates that we have witnessed for our customers, for those who have accepted our customers, who have accepted our offers, for example, were fantastic. And that was solely based on our big data analytics. The moving along now, I talked about how we make use of the big data and data analytics, and we usually had requests from corporations. They told us that you understand the customer behaviors, and can you help us with the information that you already have? So we built a platform in order to create this benefit for corporations. This idea Vodafone had for a long time, and how to convey this value to our customers. We have applied a lot of these concepts in Egypt, and I wanted to talk about the portfolio that we created here in Egypt. There are portfolios that we have given to shopping malls, one that gives insight to handset suppliers, the distribution for any retailer who wants to check a spot, and the fast food delivery market, and the outdoor billboards, and as you can see, the boost in this industry, it's being very clear across the streets. I'll try to be brief as much as possible. The mall knows the number of people who entered from the gates, but they have no clue about the kind of people, the kind of visitors. but we have the ability to check that the 60% of them were males and 30% fall within the age groups of 15-20. We have models through which I can calculate the socioeconomic class, and I have the ability to tell them who belongs to the A class customers and the B class customers, and the percentage, how they can make use of this information. They develop their marketing plans based on their perceptions of the visitors that they have. One of the malls noticed that the female shoppers are way less than they expected. So they started campaigns that targeted women. So they had a women shopping spree exclusively for women, and they pitched offers and draws for that purpose. Through this aggregate insights, the market insights that we gave them, they were able to to take or to make decisions based on these insights. The distribution maps, we worked on this with one of the banks. It's a very generic solution. If any of the banks wants to branch out, they are met with lots of options, and they can do it based on intuitions. Yes, they can open in Zamalek because they have a class customer base, but the data gives you way better insights when you look at the customers who are the banked. I can tell them the percentage of the banked customers within each neighborhood, and are they being served or not, and whether there are banking units that are sufficient to the number of customers or not. So if there they can spot their potential. Well, for example, if there is a neighborhood with a lot of bank customers and not enough banking units, of course, this is an opportunity, a business opportunity for the bank. The handset customers, the handset models across the board are registered in our data warehouse, and I can analyze them. For your model is being ditched for iPhone 6, or the users of iPhone 6 are the one with the users that have the highest potential to buy from you. So I can give the company the second level of insight, the food delivery market. Very simply put, include the hotlines that we use to place orders. I can also tell them their market shares. This month, for example, McDonald's was leading the market with 40% of the calls that were made collectively for the fast food delivery, while Hardee's did not perform very well this month, and so on and so forth. So I can provide them with the trends through which they can adjust their marketing activities. And lastly, the outdoor ads. This area is not tapped enough. People spend prohibitive amounts of money on them, but they do not understand the value. The agency that chose the spot for a billboard, is it the best place or not, based on the volume of the traffic and the kind of customers. Are they the target? Are they the targeted customers? So I can help. For example, this is a map of the distribution of the billboards of company X, and we can calculate the number of people who pass by on a monthly basis, and then I can compare the different billboards in order to understand whether their billboard marketing plan is better, or it could be used in a more savvy way. This is only a brief overview of the uses that we have already created value for others and for ourselves. So is this, can you call this big data or not? But we are starting to the technologies of the big data, but we cannot say that all we have done with only with the technologies of big data. No, what we have done was with the help of a lot of the traditional technologies. And the bottom line is to understand your business, and then the technology becomes the how. Should I use big data? Ultimately, everyone is going to use big data because of the volume and the velocity and the variety, but not necessarily. This is not necessarily an imperative to make use of the data. Thank you very much.